we have entered the month of Adar, Baruch Hashem, and it says that משנכנס Adar מרבין בשמחה, and the Simcha of Adar is a very special Simcha. This isn't the Kam Simcha. This is an crazy kind of Simcha. This is like off the walls kind of Simcha, and this is a different element of life. That like sometimes it's not enough to just be content, to just have peace of mind. That there's like a certain healthy simcha that we're always striving for. Like everybody, like it's really a wonderful thing. It's a crazy important thing to have just a peace of mind kind of simcha, that a person is just not going to be snappy, that a person is not going to be agitated, is not going to be angry, and not to be depressed. And yet, so when it comes to others, so the Torah requires from us that we should try to elevate ourselves to a next level of simcha, and it's not just the next level; it's a different kind of simcha. I once heard a good word from my friend Aaron Rizal. He's a neighbor of mine. So he says, what's it mean? What's it mean, marbin b'simcha? How do you know if you did enough? It says a lot, right? A lot of simcha. So he said that there's a pasuk in Parshas Vayakal that we always read this right after Purim. And it says in Parshas Vayakal that the Chachamim came to Moshe, and they told him, after when they were asking for donations for the Mishkan, so they told him that Marbim ha'am lahavi, midai havoda limlacha, that they told him that they're bringing their Marbim, they're doing Marbim, and it's too much. And so it says, Vayaviru kol b'machane, and it says they made announcements that Kol ish v'isha al yasu oid la'avodas machzah kodesh v'yikoliham. They made a big announcement. No more. So he said, you know, if you want to know if you fulfill the mitzvah of Marbin B'Simcha, so when your neighbor says, "Hello, it's 2 a.m," he's like, okay. So now I was yaitzi like that. So when it's too much, that's Marbin B'Simcha is. And so I want to discuss this evening what is this idea of this kind of simcha, which is an explosive kind of simcha. What is the need for this craziness in our lives? And to be honest, like I think that a person could ask a question that it says משנכנס Adar מרבין בשמחה, that there's a special thing about being b'simcha in Adar, and so a person could ask that if simcha is a good thing, so like why only Adar? Like it shouldn't, like it sounds like yeah, you know, like you should always keep Shabbos, but at least on Yom Kippur at least the Seres Mitzvah keep Shabbos. Like if you're supposed to do it, it's like what's special about Adar? And the answer is that there's two kinds of simcha. That there is a kind of simcha that is you're always supposed to be. This is supposed to be your state of mind, and there's something which is not that same thing. And that's when what Adar requires from us is something that we don't necessarily want it the whole time. It's not necessarily going to help us to be always crazy, and yet it's necessary within the limits of Adar. Okay? So that's what I want to try to explore tonight. What precisely is this? What is the value of this kind of simcha, and how we can go about attaining it? So I want to start with a teaching from Rebbe Nachman that he teaches us in the Kutim Aran, in the second volume, in Tinyana, Torah Chav Dalet, in chapter 24. So he says that sometimes a person needs to force himself to be b'simcha. He says that sometimes he uses the word machriach. A person has to force himself to be b'simcha, and he says that because a person is naturally lethargic. The person is naturally down. It's natural for a person to be brought to be a little bit sad, a little bit depressed. And like everybody's going through stuff. Everybody has stresses. Everybody has their issues that they're struggling with. And therefore, a person has to force himself with great strength to always be happy. To do whatever you could do. Even with shtuyot. A person should even make himself happy through mili d'shtusa. What's it mean shtuyot? It means a bad joke. To be able, that you need to tell yourself, you need to be able to laugh at a bad joke, and that's how you force yourself to be able to say that I'm like it doesn't matter that it's not funny. I'm making a decision to laugh. Like I'm in that mode that even if somebody's going to tell me a bad joke, I'm gonna think it's hilarious. What's the worst vegetable to take on a boat? A leek.
That's a good joke.
No, that's a bad joke. What's your worst joke? Oh, tough. Like I have so many favorites.
Why do they build gates around cemeteries?
Why do they build gates around cemeteries?
Because people are dying to get out.
That's a good joke. Okay, so but there's something about being able. Melody says that being able to laugh even if it's not funny. Okay, this is actually a thing in psychology, that there is something called laugh therapy. Okay, what's laugh therapy? It was actually, the original name was laughter yoga, that was developed in 1995 in India by a guy named Madan Kataria, and so the idea of laugh therapy is to force yourself to laugh without having a reason to laugh, mamish, without having any reason, they start. I read these weird exercises that they do in group sessions. It's not just like a therapist with a. I imagine that would be much harder. Just a therapist and a patient, but they do it in groups. One of the things is that somebody pretends his phone is ringing and then pretends that he told them something hilarious and he starts cracking up, and then everybody else starts cracking up. And one of the things that I found very fascinating was that it's they call it lion laughter, and the thing with lion laughter is that it's very descriptive how they do the exercise, that they tell you that everyone does it together, I guess, and to stick out your tongue and open your eyes really, really wide, and put your arms into claws. You know what it is? And then you just start laughing, and it gets everybody to laugh. There's no reason. You're just putting yourself in this funny situation, and then everybody's laughing about it. And they do this kind of therapy, and so it's laughing without reason. But I think it's powerful about that is that it's impossible, I think, for most people to be in that position and retain your dignity. Okay? And so it forces you to be able to let go. It forces you to be able to be vulnerable. Okay? And that, I think that a lot of the people that need this laughter, it's because we put on so many walls, we put up so many barricades of my inner world, and to laugh requires to let go, and Israelis they note about Americans that Americans laugh very loud, right? Everything very loud. Okay, so you're saying it's I guess it's connected just zero self-consciousness. It's just and so. But the thing about laughing very loud is that it's they're just very myself. It's there's very. I allow myself to bring down these walls. I'm not proper. I'm not thinking about in my own world, whatever. I'm so sure of myself that if whatever's going on in my inner world, I'm sure that it's good for the rest of the world too. And there's no. And so it's it's a positive midah to be able to just let go. Now you understand why this isn't necessarily a good thing for 12 months a year. It's not, if a person is not going to have any self-consciousness and constantly assume that whatever I want to say, that's exactly what everybody else wants to hear. So of course that's going to be very dangerous. Nobody's going to want to be your friend. Nobody's going to want to be around a person that has no filters. I think we call that, we call that on the spectrum. But it's important to be, but if you have too many barricades, too many walls, so the purpose of laugh therapy is to be able to break down, to melt these walls, to allow us to let go, allow us to let our inner world go through, explode, and this is what he says, that to be able to force yourself to laugh, to be able to be happy even without a reason, just behachrach, to be happy without a reason. So this is the first idea of the Marbin B'Simcha. Now, what is this? How does this work? So the Hashem did this amazing thing that when it comes to Simcha, like Simcha is very notably, scientifically, fake it till you make it. That there's something chemical, there's something biological about the way about smiling and laughing, that smiling and laughing, it releases dopamine, it increases serotonin, it decreases cortisol, which is about for stress, and it's simply that the outward activities of smiling and laughing, it actually makes a chemical difference and causes us to actualize that very feeling that we were doing, that very feeling that we were doing the outward motion. So Hashem made this reality that it actually puts the hormones inside of us, that it actually makes it actual. It actualizes that thing. So this is why this Mishnechnas Adar Marbin B'Simcha is such a necessary tool to have in our toolbox of techniques of mastering life. Because last week we spoke about just the general peace of mind. Last week we spoke about like the happiness that's required for the whole year. And the problem is that sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you're just not feeling it. You're just like, you could be going through things. You could be like Rebbe Nachman says, that like sometimes a person has a lot of stress in his life, a lot of issues, and it's just that the general peace of mind is really not enough. And so that's when you need these extra doses of simcha, like something which is forcing yourself. Like this is not a natural way to simcha. This is an artificial way to simcha, and that's okay because the artificial simcha actually brings you to something awesome. And this is really it's very connected to something we were talking about yesterday at Sudash Tashid. So we're talking about the disagreement between Moshe and Betzalel about how to build the Mishkan. That Moshe felt first we should make the kelim, first we should make the vessels of the aron, and the menorah, and the shulchan, and only afterwards to think about the structure. And Betzalel said, no, first you need a structure, first you need a house. If you don't have a house, we're going to put your couch, we're going to put your bed. So we spoke about that. The commentaries explain that really the disagreement between Moshe and Betzalel was regarding two spiritual structures called orot v'kelim, that light and vessels. Okay, that the light is the energy, and the vessels is the structure, like the thing in which the energy falls in. And so there's that Moshe Rabbeinu, he was an idealist, and he felt that it makes sense. It should come from the inside. First, you should have your excitement. First, you should have your energy. First, you should have the fire, and then once you have a fire, then you'll build the vessel for it. Then you'll find the way to incorporate that devotion into a mitzvah. You'll find the mitzvah, and wait until you're excited, and then do something about it. And Betzalel, so he said the opposite. That maybe that's not the way we work. First you have to have a house, and then you bring in the vessels. So maybe first build the structure, first have the outward, and only afterwards bring in the light. And this, he was really teaching us this Torah of fake it till you make it. That if you make when I was a kid there was this movie, I forgot what it's called. But the punchline was if you build it, they will come. Field of dreams. Yes, if you build it, they will come. And there's this idea like if you make the outward structure, and the light will come down. And he was probably Jewish, right? That's right. That's correct. And so this is what Betzalel was saying, that the outward expressions make a difference on the inside. And this is what Rebbe Nachman is saying, that if you want to be happy, pretend you're happy. If you pretend you're happy, so then that will actually make a difference. And this is something which is tried and true. This is something which is it's a known thing that they have laugh therapy things all over the world, and it actually works. Now the thing is that if you look up about laugh therapy, so they note that there is no evidence that it works long term. Meaning, if a person who's depressed is going to go to a laugh therapy session, so he feels good for the here and now, but there is no evidence that a month later his depression got any better. So that's why it's not enough to just have this marbin b'simcha. It's not enough to have the craziness, because if you're only doing the craziness, then you're not actually solving the core issue. And that's why there's something like this is precisely what we were speaking about last week. That if you recall that I told you that Rav Pinkus was once telling his children that he was asking them how come these people are laughing so hard, and he said they're laughing so hard because they're so sad. That sometimes when the person is crazy happy, so it's actually a cover up for the fact that he's completely depressed, and because it's not enough to just constantly laugh because the joke isn't funny, and you need some funny jokes, You need some real reason to be happy with your life. And the only thing that's going to be happy with your life on a regular basis, that on a permanent and in a sustainable way, is to find this equilibrium, to find this place of inner peace, which is really going to be a reason to actually make you always in a good state of mind. But the problem is that sometimes, because you have all these walls, so you're not able to reach that, you're not able to tap into that, and that is why we need these artificial ways of breaking through, these artificial ways of just breaking through the walls, and to get in touch with this just state of good feeling, to get the dopamine going, to get the serotonin going, to get my body into a situation that now I can, it's not much like I remember I was once trying to help a student of mine, and so trying to find her a therapist, and when I described the situation to the therapist. So the therapist said, I can't help this person. First you need to get her on meds. Until she's on meds, all the talking in the world is not going to help, because there's no one to talk to. So first get her medicated, and then I'll be able to heal her. And that's mamish. That's mamish what Rebbe Nachman is saying. That sometimes a person, all of the talk therapy in the world is not going to help. You can't talk about having peace of mind when a guy is just not here. So what do? So then you force him to be happy, and that's the medication. The problem is the medication it's artificial. It's not actually healing. It's not actually solving the problem. So that's why after you have the medication, then there's someone to talk to, and then you have the therapy, and then you can actually heal. Right? So this is mamish. So this is really the first step for a person who's really struggling with simcha. The first step is just go to a stand-up. First go to something that's going to break through this cycle, and then after you're in a decent mood, then run from the show straight to your therapist, and then start. Okay, now let's relive my trauma. Let's get over it. And so once there's someone to talk to, then you can start healing. Okay, so this is the first thing. This is the first thing about being machriach. To be able to force yourself to laugh. Now the second element of simcha, of marbin b'simcha, is something which I think is also very, very relevant to Purim, and that is that one of the themes of Purim is v'nahafochu. Okay, what is v'nahafochu? That the story of Purim is all about that everything turned upside down. Okay, what's it mean it turns upside down? That it was supposed to be the worst day ever in Jewish history. It was supposed to be that we were all completely destroyed. Okay, there's never been such a thing in Jewish history. Not only was there a plan from Achashverosh and Haman, it was decreed in heaven that we're going to be destroyed. It was not much the worst thing possible. And what happened? That not only did we not get destroyed, not even one of us was killed, but we destroyed our enemies. And not only that, but the person that wanted to destroy us, so he was hung, and it was everything, and it turned out that Mordechai became the head, and the Esther became. It was who would have believed? Everything was mamish turned on its face, and everything was switched around. And this is the energy of Purim, of v'nahafochu. Everything is just completely 180-degree turn. And so this is really the essence of comedy. Okay, before we're talking about not funny jokes. Okay, but there's also something called a funny joke. Okay, now I once heard from one of my rabbis, his name was Rebbe Nachman. He was talking about this. There's a thing in like Charlie Chaplin kind of like a black slapstick kind of humor, that there's this idea that a guy is walking down the street and he slips on a banana peel, and that's very funny. So what's so funny? What's so funny about a guy slipping on a banana peel? So now there's a thing like when you explain the joke, so it makes it not funny anymore, right? But like I'll explain the joke. That the joke is that humor is all about timing. Okay, that you know that the essence of being a comedian is that you get people to think that you're going to say one thing and to say the complete opposite thing. That's how you make humor. That's how you make somebody laugh. So if somebody's walking down the street, so that everybody is programmed to think that he's going to just continue walking, and then when he falls and slips and completely turns over, so that's the opposite of what you expected, and that's why we laugh, because that's what we call funny, and that's why he added that the more it looks like it's so obvious that he's going to just be walking properly because he looks very, very sophisticated. If he looks like a person who's extremely sophisticated, then it's even more crazy that he would just completely fall over. That makes it more funny, because the more that you're going in a certain direction, the greater the contrast is, and with when the opposite happens, and that's what makes it happy. That's what makes it funny. That's how we explained that this is the Simcha of Yitzchak Avinu. So he's named after laughter. Kol HaShomer Yitzchak Li. And so what's the story of Yitzchak? The story of Yitzchak is that it was no way that they were going to have children. It was that anybody that saw this picture, that saw this couple, that you have a guy, he's 100 years old, she's 9 years old. Chazal tells us that she didn't have a womb, that it was completely biologically impossible for her to have a baby. There was everything was pointing to the fact that come on, you guys you need to adopt. And out of nowhere, the complete impossible took place, and that's the greatest 180-degree turn, and that's what's so funny. That's mamish what's so funny. And so this is a kind of the real comedy. The real comedy is to know when something is going the complete opposite way, and that. For this, you need to. There's a chachma to this. It's not always. You can't always on demand to have a real good joke, right? If you're really good, then you can make everything into a joke. Like once saw this video of I forgot his name. They call him Mr. Bean, but Rowan Atkinson. That he was able to make people laugh by just saying random words, it was crazy. His talent of just being able to make a joke out of nothing. It was but really in a funny way. Really and it was all this. You're expecting him to do this, and he just says something out of nowhere. So it's a very amazing talent to be able to make things happy. The famous Gemara in Tainis that there was two sages. They were walking in the shuk, and they found Eliyahu Navi, and they said, "Who here is going straight to heaven?" And they pointed to two clowns, the two badchanim, the people that was their job to make jokes, and they're going straight to heaven. It's such an amazing thing to be able. It's a chachma to be able to make people laugh. It's not easy, and it's a wisdom. It's a talent to be able to make people laugh, and it's a very praiseworthy talent. It's a very important talent to bring simcha into the world. So this is the simcha. This is the simcha of a good joke, and this is what I once heard that the word Adar, that the name of the month Adar. So it comes from this. It comes from, because in Aramaic, the names of the months are from Aramaic. And in Aramaic, so if you want to say that it's completely backwards of what you're saying, that the truth is the opposite of what you're saying, so the word in Aramaic is Adarabba. Adarabba is punkt verkehrt. And so Adar is from Aramaic, it's like the opposite. It's the complete opposite of what you were expecting. that is where the simcha comes from. So this is another kind of comedy. This is another kind of laughter. This is another kind of craziness, and which allows us to break down these walls. Like this is like going to this is the laughter of the geula, because it says Oz Yamal Eschak Pinu, that when the geula comes, we're going to be laughing. Like what's going to be laughing? It's going to be such a shock to us that like who would have known? Who would have known that like he is Mashiach? Who's gonna know that I'm gonna find out that all the people that I couldn't stand are actually good guys, and like everything is gonna work together, and all of our enemies are gonna be really catalysts and bringing all goodness, and everything is gonna be so the opposite of what we were expecting. So then we won't be able to stop cracking up. Okay, so this is the second element of Marbin B'Simcha is on a practical level. So to be able to appreciate that when things are just 180-degree turn, to be able to be ready for twists in our lives, and to be able to shalom, that to be able to embrace when things go crazy, to be able to embrace when things are the opposite of what we're expecting. So that's really what can cause us, which should cause us to laugh. Now, if you think about it, we aren't always ready. We aren't always in the mood for a comedy show, right? Who's not in the mood for a comedy show? A person who's just like really stuck in his own thoughts, right? So when we go to a comedy show, the first thing we need to tell ourselves is like, I'm ready to laugh. I'm ready for a joke. I'm ready for a surprise. I'm ready for something was not expected. Because if I only want to hear something that I already know, which is what the person who's really depressed is that's where they're holding. When I'm opening up myself for something that I'm not expecting, so that itself is what allows the simcha to come. Or in other words, that the simcha of Yitzchak, the simcha of a good joke, requires that I'm not fixed in my ways. Okay? Meaning, if I'm stuck, that this is the way it is, that like I like my 9-to-5 job. I like my schedule. Don't put anything crazy. Don't put anything surprises. If somebody says I hate surprises, then that's a person that they don't laugh so much, because you can't laugh without surprises. So a person that's not ready for surprises, so they aren't connected to Simcha, and they certainly aren't connected to Adar. I mean, it could be that they can achieve peace of mind, but they won't be able to crack up, because to crack up requires that I'm open for change. I'm open for surprises. I'm open for something brand new that I was not expecting, and this is the second element of Marbin B'Simcha. And the third and last thing that I want to share with you is about Marbin B'Simcha, is something that Rebbe Nachman also teaches, mamish in the very same, very, very, very close proximity to the other one, in Chav Gimel, in Tinyana Chav Gimel. So he says al pi mashal. He says a parable, which he thinks is relevant to depression and happiness. That sometimes people are happy and they're dancing, and they take a person that you see a guy that he was on the side, that he was not joining them, he was not dancing with them, but they force him to join them. They start and they grab him. Like sometimes you have this like on Simchas Torah, like somebody's like on the side, like you grab him and forcefully, or at a wedding is less, but like it should be. And they take him balkarcha l'toch machal merakdim umachrichim eiso balkarcha sheyasameach imam gamken, and so they force him to be happy. And so he says that it actually works. Ken yesh beinin simcha. This actually is the way simcha works. When a person is happy, so then all of his depression, so it goes by the sidelines. Like all of his depression runs away when he's actually being active in being happy. So he's saying that there's something about happiness. The happiness is something which is contagious. Okay, and this is true. This is true about laughing. You know, when people laugh, so then it's natural to laugh with them. When people smile, People smile. I was noticing this morning that, it's not normal when you smile at somebody for them not to smile back. It's weird, right? I had it this morning. Like I smiled at somebody, and he's looking looking straight by me. It's like, whoa, you must be having a hard life. And it's really, you have to work on it. You have to.
You knew this person?
You have to, not so much, but even for a stranger, it's like you have to be a strong person to not smile back at somebody to smile and get you. And because it's something natural that smiling is contagious. It's a human experience that somebody smiles at you, smile back. So that's what Rebbe Nachman says, that if people are happy and they bring the person into the happiness, so then it's a natural thing that he's going to become happy because simply it's contagious, because it's catchy. It's catchy and it goes around. And so I think I like to think of it like it's Rebbe Nachman. So this is one of his biggest things about being happy, right? And another thing that Rebbe Nachman said about himself is that he compared himself to fire. That's why, if you ever see the logo of Breslov is this fire, because he said, "Ha'esh shali tukad," my fire will always burn. And so, fire is the same thing. What you think about fire is that anything that you put into fire becomes fire. You can't have whatever you used to be a tissue, used to be a newspaper, used to be a bread, whatever it was. It's going to be a common time. So whatever you put into the fire, it becomes fire, right? That's the reality of fire. And so that's what Simcha is. Simcha is fire. Simcha is that you put whatever depression you put into the fire, whatever depression you put into the Simcha, so then it turns into Simcha. It mamish becomes there is no room for something else. So the power of Simcha is that it spreads. It naturally spreads. So Rebbe Nachman takes this a step further, and he says that this is something the person can do within themselves. That when I have a Simcha inside of me, however I got to it, whether it was with a bad joke, whether it was with a good joke, whether it was that however I got to the Simcha, so then he says you can take it, bring it further. And he says something very crazy. To chase after your depression, to chase after those things inside of you which aren't okay. Meaning that the first step of being happy was like a distraction. And like right now I'm just laughing because that's what I'm thinking about, but all my issues are still bad. So he says that the next level is lachnis otam gamkem b'toch hasimcha. That just like if you have a depressed guy on the side and you bring him into the circle, so he starts being happy, so you can have the same thing with yourself. That when I'm happy, so I can bring my depression into my happiness, and my depression will turn into happiness. And he says that's what it means in the pasuk. That's what it says in the pasuk, that sason v'simcha yasigu v'nasu yagan v'anacha. So he says, Sasam v'simcha yasigu. Yasigu means that they'll chase after somebody. So Sasam v'simcha, they will chase. Who are they going to chase after? They're going to chase after your depression. V'nasu yagan v'anacha. And all of the sorrow, and all of the sighing, and all of the stress, it's going to run away. V'nasu, it's going to run away. Yagan v'simcha barchim v'nasim v'nasimcha, because they're powerless when the simcha comes. Ki beis simcha derech hayon v'anacha lama min atzad tzarich lirdav v'chaim dafka. And so a person has an ability, when they're happy, to go after the source of their depression and bring it into the simcha. I once I heard about a friend of mine that at his Purim Suda, that so they go around. I want to do this at my Purim Suda. That they go around the table, and people make l'chaims on the worst thing that happened to them that year. And on Purim, a person can reach this level that he doesn't force anybody to share, but a person can make a l'chaim. I see beauty in the fact that I lost my job. I see beauty in the fact that I got out of this relationship. The worst thing that things that were objectively negative things. So that during the year, the rest of the year, it would be wild to that you're happy about this. But what's special about Purim is that Purim, you can reach this higher level of consciousness that, like I'm so happy that my life is completely backwards. And that's what it means, that what means to bring the marashchara into the happiness, to bring the depression into your happiness, that there's this contagiousness that a person can live with, that the simcha is actually going to heal the depression, and this is a very high thing. That a person, I promise you that after a person did that on Purim, so then the next day he's also going to be more healed. The next day he's also going to be healthier, and because that's something that really, really changes your long-term consciousness about how you look at the worst parts of your reality. And this is what Rebbe Nachman writes. There's a famous they made a song about it. Rebbe Nachman says in Torah Yud that kisheyesh dinim al Yisrael, when there's chas v'shalom, when there's judgment, when there's difficult situations, al yidei rikudim v'hamchas kaf nasa hamtokas adinim. So by dancing and clapping, so you're able to sweeten all of the judgment. So what does it mean? What does it mean through dancing and clapping? So like this is like mamish, like just being happy. Being happy, forcing yourself to be happy. So it doesn't only change for the here and now, but it also takes the energy around it, and it's contagious, and it brings the depression, it brings all of the negativity, it brings it into the circle, and it actually is able to transform it into something positive. And so this is something so awesome about happiness, that it's actually able to heal. It's actually able to make a difference. And so I really believe that this is what, like when it says like that in the dance of this in Hebrew, the word dance is called machal, and it's a circle. Like the traditional dance in Judaism is a hora dance. It's like you're in a circle, and everybody's connected, and that's the idea of the simcha. That you have the simcha of Purim is something that it goes around, and because it goes around, so the more that you come into the circle, so you become part of the circle. So like it's impossible to stand alone. So this is what Marbin Simcha is. Marbin Simcha is that a person feels stuck. A person feels like this is not for me. A person feels like everybody else is happy, and I wasn't invited. I don't have a reason to be happy. So Marbin Simcha says that there is a solution. There's a solution, and that is that you can force the happiness. And this is the laugh therapy. You know, when he talks about clapping, so in laugh therapy they also use clapping. They're like to get into a rhythm, like the ho ho ha 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 ho ho ha ha. They go in like that, and just after 30 seconds, 60 seconds, so then it just like people start laughing, and you just to go with the rhythm is like because you can't fight against the rhythm, right? And so this is the lahachriach, to force yourselves into happiness, to be able to find stupid reasons to laugh, to be able to find reasons, excuses to laugh just because. And that's really the first step. And the second step is to be able to make ourselves vulnerable into seeing turnovers, to be able to seeing that things are backwards, things are the opposite of what we expected, and so like hopefully like this is the simcha of the geula. This is the simcha of that Iran is going to have a big turnover, and the world is going to have a big turnover, and that we're going to be laughing. Well, we're going to be laughing when we see all these turnovers, and the depressed people, they're the people that are always saying, yeah, we've been for a month already. You've been saying that Trump is going to attack. Yeah, like nothing's going to happen. Everything's the same. And that depression is the source of this. Like nothing is going to change. Like whatever was is going to be. And like to be able to laugh, to be able to be open to novelty, to be open for surprises, and so to open ourselves for surprises in life, to be able to laugh at the fact that things don't have to be the way we were expecting. Just because things were the certain statistics of a certain thing doesn't mean the way it's going to be. And lastly, to appreciate the fact that it's contagious, to appreciate the fact that there's a circle, to appreciate the fact that when we find these places of happiness inside of us, so to know that we can then we can go be proactive of chasing after the negative parts inside of us, chasing after the sad parts inside of us, and making them part of the circle as well. And this is make them part of this fire of Simcha, this fiery chariot of Simcha that's going to be for this month of Adar. So I bless us all that we should mamish be able to chase away all of the sadness, and chase away all of the depression, and to mamish to know that it's never hopeless. It's never hopeless, because if you're waiting for happiness to come, then sometimes it could be hopeless, because happiness doesn't always come. But the Rebbe Nachman teaches that it's the opposite. We don't smile because we're happy. We are happy because we smile. And it's such on a cosmic level. It makes differences. Somebody was Reb Shlomo once said that people are so angry because people are so angry at Hashem because the world is upside down, and they don't realize that the world is upside down because you're so angry. And it's just if you make this shift in your mentality, so then things will start falling into place. And the reason why they're not falling into place is because you're just so rigid, and because you're a person that can't laugh. And once you're able to just let go and be a little bit loose, be able to go to the comedy show, then you'll see that things are going to start falling into place, and you're going to see that there will be good reasons to laugh, and things will start working out in our lives, and we'll see lots of yeshuot and lots of geulot b'ezrat Hashem.